All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Karl from the Outerhaven once again. I am getting some very special privilege today to sit here with John from CD Projekt Red, and we get to talk about Cyberpunk, which I know everybody. V, yes. Well, one of the V's, as I've. We customizable, so you get the male version or you get a female version of V. But no, no. Well, you better body type to phrase it the way we're supposed to these days. I've just come out of the demo, so it's like I'm still trying to process everything that we've seen today. I'll just sort of go off my first impressions, and we'll sort of just see where we go from there. One thing that reminded me of very heavily was the Deus Ex series. Yeah. Lots of choose your own paths, customizability, of course with the sort of the cyberpunk elements with the implants and stuff like that, sort of the same type of themes. Did you sort of see that, take that into account, that it's already something that's on the market, or
not like consciously? I don't think. But I think everybody played Deus Ex, and they were really cool games, right? It's from the first one was really cool and groundbreaking and stuff. You know, it's kind of open ways to solve these things. So it's unconsciously we probably were referring to that. But that's just part of the game, you know, the action part where you can. But there's more than just a couple of ways to go through each of these types of quests. So hopefully it's kind of filled like Deus Ex Plus in terms of the action and that gameplay side of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, well, it's it's different in terms of sort of the RPG elements that come into it. So I sort of noticed you have, again, I do apologise for I'm sort of not using the correct terminology with your game there, but sort of your classes with the nomad, the corporate, and the street kid sort of archetypes.
Backstories.
Yeah, backstories as you were calling them. It was interesting to see, you know, the branching trees, dialogue trees, and everything that come about from certain backgrounds that you have, and then it's going from there. You get to actually go further into building your own character, either whether you want to be like a net runner where you're sort of more stealthy and you're hacking things, or you go the stronger style where you just rip open doors, pick up big guns, and blow everything away if you really wish. Like, where did you get a lot of the ideas from? So just like starting from the core concept of, like, you've gone from Witcher, which is a very fantasy based game. Now you're going into a more technologically based game. Was it just that you sort of got to the point where you think you've done everything you can with Witcher and wanted to try something different, or was it just, hey, we've got a different idea, let's go with it?
Well, yeah, we finished the Witcher 3, and we finished the expansions, and we had already started working on Cyberpunk before we were finished with the Witcher 3, of course. And so it came about, I guess. I wasn't sitting in the meetings when they were talking about what we're going to do next. Somebody else decided that stuff, but I think part of it's like working in fantasy universe for a very long period of time. It's like, let's do something completely different, kind of just to freshen it up and for a change of pace in the studio, right? And to give us some fresh new material that we want to try to adapt and for an RPG developer like CD Projekt Red, Cyberpunk really works well with RPGs because of this like customization, these like advanced like cybernetic customization systems, and the way you can do like really interesting character building stuff. So it was a natural fit for us as an RPG developer to pick Cyberpunk. And Cyberpunk's just it's a really cool genre to be you know, it's kind of the geek reference things in the world are cyberpunk things, right? Like Ghost in the Shell, Akira to a certain extent, and then all the William Gibson stuff. And it's like, when you're a kid growing up, you're into like, when you're a geek like me, you're into like dark fantasy like Conan, and you're into like science fiction like, you know, Blade Runner or Ghost in the Shell, or those things. Like those are the coolest things in life, actually. So why wouldn't we pick that?
That's definitely a good point. When sort of going from one style to another, what difficulties did you come across that sort of made you stop and go, okay, we've really got to think in a different realm of what we're doing here?
I don't really understand that question. Just ask me again. Yes, sorry.
To rephrase, working from Witcher and you're going to Cyberpunk, it's I'm going to guess it's not the same engine that you're running it all through. So, like the technology, is there points that sort of made you stop and have to rethink the way you're approaching the development on Cyberpunk?
There's a lot of things in Cyberpunk that we just couldn't do with the Witcher engine. So it's like almost a completely new engine that we've built, especially for when you're moving through a city fast. Like if you're driving through a city, you need some kind of technology that can render things faster, can stream things faster through the game. So things aren't popping, and in The Witcher you're on a horse. It's quite slow, right? Or you're walking through the world, so it's quite slow, and it gives you more time to load those things. And there are other things in the game. We've had to develop a lot of new tech. The vehicle system is new. There's a new scene system in the game. The way we're like doing the cinematic storytelling is more seamless. There's new audio systems. There's new rendering systems that we need to develop, just because the technology is moving forward in the world, So we have to keep up and make sure that the game is as good as the technology allows us to create. So.
Well, speaking along the lines of the technology, the one thing I've learned through this weekend here at PAX is that Nvidia's ray tracing technology is going to be a really big thing. One of the things that they did say that they were working with you with Cyberpunk to do that ray tracing technology to sort of get that extra clarity with the lighting and everything.
We're working really closely with Nvidia on that stuff. I'm not sure how much I can talk about that, but it's been a real partnership to work with on the RTX stuff for those guys, and they're doing most of that work in I'm based in Krakow. They're doing most of that work in Warsaw, but it's like they're working with our engineers, but they're also working with our lighting artists very closely. Yeah.
Okay, so the next I was going to ask how is it working with as you said, that's with the Warsaw and not yourself. Which
not there. I'm in the studio in Krakow. Krakow and Warsaw we're both basically one big team, right? It's not like two separate teams in any way. We're just like sitting somewhere else, but we're still part of the other teams, heavily integrated. It's like since I'm not sitting in Warsaw every day anymore, it's like I don't know what's happening all the time, right? So it's hard for me to describe it in too clearly. So I'm just some of this is like this is what I think is happening with Nvidia here.
All right. One of the big things that sort of came about, this going back to E3, was the reveal of Quiana Race being a character in Cyberpunk. Have you got any knowledge how that came about, or like did he approach you? Did you approach him? Or?
A little bit. We approached him. Yeah, I mean, it would have been really cool had he come to us. But I guess it's like we were developing the story, and Johnny Silverhand became a very prominent character, and we needed someone to play that role. And I don't know whose idea it was. It turned out to be a really fantastic idea because he really fits the role quite well, I think. And based on the reactions that we've had in the community, it was a good choice. So yeah, I guess we came up with the idea, and we went out and we pitched it to him. And I don't know how long it took for him to decide, a few weeks, I guess, or something. And he came back and said he would do it. So and ever since then, it's like.
Yeah. Without giving too much away, don't want you to get in trouble with the upper bosses for going through like a story or anything. What? Well, yeah, you got to talk about it to some degree, but
the overlords, the evil overlords. I'm going to get in trouble with the evil overlords.
I know they sign your paychecks. just sort of, what are we looking at gameplay, like, lengthwise here? Like, I know it's an open world game, so it essentially could be infinite, but say you're going to sort of go through the main story, what are we looking at terms in time and just the main story itself?
Can't say. But it's variable based on the way you play. It could be like, if you're running guns, it's going to be faster. If you like stealth your way through, or you net run or hack your way through kind of the game, it's going to be much slower. So it's very variable, and then it'll be based on difficulty. It'll be based on how you customize your build, your character, how many side quests or minor quests you choose to take, because some of those do support the main. You have to like do sides to do the mains, and to get through the mains, you have to build up your character to a certain level to be able to access certain whatever technology you need to beat the next level or the next quest. So it's like so we don't really have a perfect idea of how long it's going to take, but I can tell you that it's bigger in terms of content, rich content, than The Witcher 3 was.
Well, considering how big and ambitious The Witcher 3 was, especially with the expansions added on, that's a lot of playing to be done.
For a lot of content to experience.
Yeah, a lot of content to experience, definitely. See, I was sort of thinking like how long did it take for the actual script to be done, but then again, I'm trying to avoid spoilers, just like yourself.
To write the script. Yeah. Probably about. We started working on this thing in 2013, right? Writers, at least. Yeah, there was a team, and then the team started working on Witcher. That team worked on Witcher 3, but the writers kept going. But the script was written and thrown away, and written and thrown away, and reiterated. And so we didn't have one idea in the beginning that we developed all along. We've been changing it and changing it and changing it until we found something that we liked and that really worked. And I think it's probably the hardest part about the development of this project, was getting that story right. So it's been worked on and actively, like, being talked about and written and changed for all those years. So what is that, 6 years or something? Yeah,
6 years, definitely. In your own personal opinion, with what you've experienced yourself with Cyberpunk, like, you would have played it a few times yourself, just testing. Is there anything that you enjoy that we should be on the lookout for?
I think that the universe is going to be interestingly, overwhelmingly immersive. The way it's being designed and developed, you're gonna really get transported into get sucked into a universe that you're not gonna want to come out of. I mean, you will come out of it eventually, and you're not gonna get sucked in forever. It's not Tron or something, but I think it's going to be that good, right? That immersive. So I think that's what hopefully other people feel the same way. But I like getting into a world with the ambient qualities, or it makes you feel like you're there, even though you're playing on a TV or whatever.
So just one final thing, I'm going to at least try to get something out of you, at least spoiler-wise. Or even just like, is there any big moment or something that that we've got to keep an eye out for? Damn. Okay, well, that probably got you into a lot of trouble, and well, I hope people like hearing that one. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Hopefully you get out to enjoy PAX. I know you've been hiding away in here, but doing interview after interview. Yeah. So hopefully, please make sure you get out those stores later today and enjoy the convention.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay.